Christian L, and this is Why Not So. In this vlog, we're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the girls' style book. Now, this book is created by Yoshirko, Tsukiori, and HH. Now, if I pronounce these names wrong, guys, I'm going to put the information of the book title, and the author's names down in the description box below. Alright, girls' style book. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Alright, so, right off the bat with this book, guys, it is all about the little girls' dress patterns in this book. I mean, you feel like you're getting a bargain because you're getting all the beautiful classical dress styles, and even some of the ones you haven't seen before. Even some, I would say, variations or some nice, stylish, up-to-date variations that you would love for your little girl to wear even today. And they're all in this book. So there's like 24 patterns. And I'm going to show you some of the pictures. I hope you can see them. Like that is an adorable shirt. And there's a dress beside it. And the book is just filled with dresses, tops, blouses for little girls. And you're getting 24 patterns. And basically, I bought this from Amazon for approximately maybe $14.99 or $14.98 or somewhere around $15. So right off the bat, you feel like you're getting a deal. So one of the good aspects about this book is the number of patterns versus how much money you're spending. Per pattern, you're basically paying less than $1, maybe somewhere around the 70 cents area, or yeah, around like 70 cents for each pattern that you get in this book. You can't beat that deal. Now, let's go into some of the bad aspects, because the patterns are beautiful. They are all within this book. I mean, you really can't beat that. Now, this is what you gotta weigh against. First, this is not a how-to book, okay? You really do not want to, if you're a new or beginning sewer, you really don't want to come into this book thinking that you can buy this book, put the stuff together, and that's going to explain down to the detail of how to do it. In fact, as you can see in the pictures are in the front of the book. It gives you a reference number as far as where the pattern descriptions are at, which is located in the rear of the book. And as you can see, it's just simple line drawing, something that you will see in a basic pattern by the Big Four. Yes, do bias tape, cut this out. Nothing descriptive. They assume that you already know how to sew, and they assume that basically your level is maybe advanced beginner to maybe intermediate or advanced. And so beginner sewers, I'm not going to say this is not the book for you, because there's a workaround. If I was getting as a beginning sewer myself, because I had to stop and reference back to how to put on bias tape, I did. Anyway, as a beginning sewer, what I preference or my go around is I got this book as well as a how-to reference book, a complete guide of sewing that shows me detailed pictures. So basically, if the description here says, I'm just going to say place on bias tape, and I didn't understand how to place on the bias tape, then I'll go to my reference book, reference how to apply bias tape, and use that as my how-to guide in reference to a book like this. Okay, so if you're a basic or a beginning sewer, use this with a reference book. I mean, that will really help you out a lot. Another thing that I found that you have to weigh against with this book. The sizes in this book ranges from size 2 to 10, which is a decent portion of sizes. Okay, but be careful. When I did a project out here because I wanted to do a sample to see did it all come out fit true to size. I did a size 4, and the reason why I did the size 4 was my daughter's bust was a 21, and the bust on the 4 was a 22. But her waist was a 22, and the waist size on the 4 was a 20. I mean, basically it was a 20. So I didn't want to do the waist, so I decided that, so I was like, well, I know her chest is a little small, but her waist is a little big, so I should do the waist measurement. So I opted for a 4 instead of a size 2, which has a waist of 19, and if her waist size is 3 inches wider, I was scared to do a 2. But the chest was the perfect size at 21 and 1/4. She is a 21, nowhere near that 1/4 of measurement. So, and she also qualified under the height guide. I don't know what tall children they have in Japan, but yes, she qualified under the height guide for a size 2. But I didn't want to do the 2 because I felt like the waist was going to, anything that I did with a, that defines out the waistline, I would not have room enough for her. So I did a size 4, and I just did piece it all together the first time to see how it's going to come out. It wasn't the most expensive fabric that I used. It was just, okay, let's piece this together. And I made the most basic of dresses. I made dress H here. And no, mine does not quite look like that. Okay. And this is my dress. Okay, dress H that came off of here. Now, some of the new things I had to learn was basically putting bias tape around the collar, reinforcing the zipper, and putting in an invisible zipper. Now, as far as my invisible zipper is concerned, I did a very decent job on that. Okay, now, if you notice in the back of my dress, I have darts. No, this dress did not tell me to put darts in. This dress was huge, okay, on my daughter. And let me tell you some of the things that you have to do for this book. The patterns that they supply for you in the back of the book do not add seam allowance, so you have to add seam allowance. But the reference pages for cutting out the pattern do tell you where to add each of the seam allowance. So I only added a 1/2 inch seam allowances in each of the reference points that I was directed to add. So the size 4 came out huge on my 4-year-old. I mean, it was overly big. And in order to get the dress to fit, I had to put, not only did I have to put darts in the back, I also took almost 1 inch off the waistline on each side of this dress. And it was still huge. And as you can see, as I gathered the dress in, the problem that I would have is the neckline would still be too huge. So basically, in order to get this neckline to fit, I would basically have to take off the bias tape at the top here, and then try to put some darts in to shrink that neckline a little bit. Basically, I thought that was a little bit too much. My daughter loves the dress, so it is now just a play dress for her. And because she basically, when I put it on, it was so funny. She put her toy heels on and was walking around in a dress like, oh yes, I thought it was adorable at that point. But it's not something I was saying I want her to go to church in. It's not something I will really want to take her out in public in, unless of course we were just going to the park and nobody was scrutinizing my daughter's dress that heavily. So basically, I had to take this in and it still doesn't fit around the neckline, and I just thought it was just too much work when I really need just to go down a size. And then also, after realizing, okay, I based it on her waistline measurement, then I decided to go and look at each of the pages of each of these pictures in these books to see where I will have issue with waistline. Well, there is not really any issue I will have with a waistline measurement due to the fact that all the dresses bellow out. Even the tops bellow out. There is nothing that should hit waistline. I should have plenty of inches on each of my sides for my waistline, because everything is almost A-line in this book, or basically gathers, and so there will be no point where anything ever touches at the waistline. So I really should have did the chest measurement versus the waistline measurement. Okay? So look at the project that you're doing. Make sure that it's not going to be something that you need to do for a, make sure it's not, if your daughter has, as mine does, a bigger waistline than she does have a chest, because she got a stomach. And she's absolutely straight up and down, but she's skinny with these little skinny legs and arms, and then she's got this little tummy. And so her waistline is the biggest thing on her, and is a little bit bigger than her chest measurements. And as she grows, of course, that's going to change. Okay, so first thing I did, so as you can see, the size 2 on my 2-year-old fits just fine. Also, I took almost 3 inches off the bottom of the dress. So I think we got plenty of room for hemming, and you're not going to run into an area where you're getting too short. But also they have measurements where you can shorten the length of the dress as needed. Alright, so the good. Plenty of patterns, beautiful pictures, and it is and for the price, it's a bargain. The bad. Check your measurements on this. That size 2 is not for a unless you got a pretty chunky kid. You really want to check your measurements on it, and check your chest measurements, because I think your chest is where you want to go as far as your child's measurements. It's a centralized measurement you really want to take. Alright, let's talk about the ugly in this book. Alright guys. Patterns in this book, and I didn't bring it out an example. They have like 4 pattern sheets in this book. Front and back is printed. They're overlapping patterns, as most books will do. If you ever bought books that have patterns in it, they're meant for you to copy the patterns. Okay, but truthfully, the only indication that will tell you that a piece is the piece that you need is the lettering on them. And some pattern pieces have H, V, Y, A, and those are all the dresses, because each dress is named like H, or each dress is named W, Y. And if it says Y, you're supposed to copy and trace it, add your seam allowances, and cut it out. And it sounds like a lot, it is. So you're supposed to do that, right? Well, there's 4 pages front and back, and none of your pattern pieces are on the same page. So if I'm looking for the sleeve for H, I have to go look on 4 pages, checking each of the little markings on that page to make sure it doesn't say H, and that's one of the ones I need to cut out. So my front bodice was on one section, my back bodice was on another section, and my sleeve was on a whole total another section. And as far as cutting out bias tape, it recommends that you cut out your own bias tape. Of course, you can always buy it, but because I'm a new, because I'm not going to say I'm a new sewer, because I've been doing this for about a year now. I've been doing this for a year, about 3-4 months now. So, but I am going to say that I'm inexperienced enough that I should do all the exercises in the book. If it says make bias tape, then I really should try to make my own bias tape to learn how to make bias tape. That's the only way I'm going to learn, so I'm going to do it. So it just tells you the measurements for your bias tape, and you have to cut out your bias tapes and stuff like that. The good of the pattern pieces was actually there's not an extreme amount of pattern pieces that you would need for any other projects in this book. The only thing is that the pattern pieces are not on the same page, so you are searching. I mean, you are really literally trying to search for each of your pattern pieces. And if a pattern pieces have different letterings on it, you might want to cut that one out a couple of times, or copy it a couple of times, or just mark it so that you know that this is also for dress Y and dress B and dress A. So maybe you don't want to have to cut that one out again and again and again. I mean, truly, you're going to have a wild time trying to find all your pattern pieces and put them together. So if you're trying to do something maybe in a day, give yourself a little extra time on your pattern pieces, or maybe do your pattern piece cutting the day before so you can get all your frustrations out, and you're not going to choke. You don't want to choke the book after 2 hours in, or you're still trying to copy and cut out pattern pieces because you're trying to find them all. So that was the ugly of the book. I mean, overall, I'm doing another dress. I have to recut and resize everything because now I have to do a size 2 versus a size 4, which is yay, so much fun for me. But it really is worth it. I love that it's just telling me the simple things to do. I love that I'm researching the best techniques about how to go and do things. Yes, it takes a little bit more time, but if I get the results that I'm expecting I will get. And I didn't do too bad of a job. It's just that my dress didn't fit. So maybe next time I will probably do a muslin. So a muslin, but at this point I'm going to try the size 2 because it fits really good in the chest for her, and the dress doesn't hit a waistline at all, and in fact none of the pattern pieces hit the waistline. So there's nothing that's fitted around the waistline. So I know I'm going to do that size. And if I have to do shorts, I think my elastic would just be based on how her waistline at the time. So it depends on if she 8 or 9, her waistline gets a little full. Anyway, guys, do I recommend this book? Yes, I do, but I recommend it with caution. If you're a beginning sewer, use a reference book. Don't try to go it alone, or if you get frustrated, stop and try to figure out what exactly is the same. Is there YouTube videos for you to follow, and just understand. And before you even start a project, read over all the directions and see if you have a full understanding of everything that you have to do. Alright guys, thank you for coming to my channel. I hope this was informational for you. I hope you guys have fun out there sewing. And as always, thank you for watching.